So, you may or may not have read the title. Yeah, I sprained my ankle recently. It's been great. Anyways, today we're going to be watching Top 10 Terrifying Backrooms Levels Part 7 by Brugly. And I'll tell you guys about how I sprained my ankle and all that. Okay? Now,
Hey everybody, I'm Brugly, and since it's Halloween
yeah.
season officially,
So me and my husband, Explodo Jones, you may know him. He's made a few appearances while I've been recording to do stuff. But we went out for a walk, and there was this squirrely looking fella walking near us. He decided it'd be best to completely try to circumnavigate the fellow and go through the weeds next to the sidewalk. Now, it was all fine until I got my foot caught in a small divot or hole that I couldn't see and fell and hurt myself. Peekaboo, hello. So yeah, I sprained my ankle whilst I was on a walk with my husband on his birthday. And he's been being really lame about it. He's been being all depressed about it, and I get it, it's not cool and all that. But like, come on, man. I'm just trying to live. I think more than anything, he's just sad that his own paranoia got the best of him and I ended up getting hurt because of it. But as soon as he had to drop me off and put me somewhere safe till he could pick me up, and well, you know, all that good stuff. Anyways,
I decided to throw together 10 of the literal scariest, most uncanny, most unsettling backrooms levels that I've gone over. These will keep you up at night, which isn't good if you want to, play this while you're sleeping. But I personally love this time of year, and I love the backrooms of this time of year as well. So if you do too, leave a comment telling me which level in this video scares you the most, and whichever one I agree with, I'll heart. It's that simple. Thank y'all for your support. Without further ado, sit back and relax, and get ready to be utterly terrified. Man, I love this time of year, bro. That's the best. So, Backrooms level 33.3 is a sub-level of its parent level 33. Now, I have gone over level 33 in another video, but in case you haven't heard of it, or if you're new here or something, it's pretty much just a crusty, flooded, abandoned mall. But this sub-level is part of that giant mall complex. The sub-level has been given a Class 5E difficulty rating, meaning that there's a dangerous and hazardous environment, and that you'll encounter many things that don't make any sense. The level resembles an old abandoned mall, but it's not really to the extent of decay that its regular parent level is. This sublevel is more just empty, not necessarily overgrown and flooded. It actually looks to be an abandoned mall from the country of Croatia, specifically, because we think it's Croatia because there are stores like Spar and Mueller here. We don't know, could be a guess. There are also a few empty markets and fish markets and that kind of thing in the level 2, which is different from its parent level. The level has been split up into 4 sections as of right now, and I'm going to hop into those explanations right now, I guess. The first one is the main area, or the main hall. This is where most of the shops and the staircases and the hallways are, and this is the central location for this sublevel.
Excuse me.
You can only go up or down.
But yeah,
from here,
I think within
just
a
right in
couple
the middle
days I
on
should be
this main
fine.
hall. Now, if you remember, the name of the level is the
So nobody overreact.
Depths, and
I'm
that's
chilling.
because on this level there is an enigmatic type of dust that inhabits it, that floats around, that's over everything. I'm gonna get into all that and its properties and stuff later in the entity portion, but just know that it's very dangerous. But here in this main hall, there is a moderate amount of that dust all over the surfaces and in the air. An estimated 50-ish% or so of the air is filled with dust. And again, you'll know what that means later. But another strange quirk here in this level is that there is a lack of good gravity throughout this mall, meaning that you'll have the ability to leap and jump around easily and kind of just swim through the air like you would be on a planet or the moon or something. The main level 33 doesn't have this effect, so it's really unknown how it's centralized to this sublevel. I don't know, man, the backrooms is weird. Don't ask me. The second section of this level is known as the second floor, where many of the smaller shops and offices and hallways are located. This part feels more liminal and empty and darker, almost as if it's like a transitional place that you've been trapped in. There are several big bathroom complexes here, as well as closets and offices, and everything here has this layer of dust and emptiness over it all. Now, on the far wall of this second floor, there is a large spiral staircase that goes up and down. This staircase is very enigmatic and is surrounded and shrouded in mystery. Some people think it's just an infinite staircase, some people think it's the way out of the backrooms, some people think it just doesn't do anything, it's just a staircase. We don't know. Now, on this second floor, the dust content is surprisingly low. There's only about 20% in the air that has dust, but that does mean that it's about twice as safe as the first floor. The third section of the level is thought to be underground, like a basement type area. This is where it gets crazy because there is more dust and debris in the air. It's also where there are parking garages located, as well as meat markets and other shops. The entire vibe here is darker and dingier and just more quiet and empty. This section does, like I said, have the highest dust concentration, and pretty much all the air here is very infected with it, making it hard to breathe, and even harder to think clearly. There's just so much dirt and dust and abandonment that it's not recommended to come down here, or to this level, to be honest, but if you're going to be here, don't go to this part of it. It's very dangerous unless you have a gap.
Time for a Hoover. Or, yeah, Hoover, vacuum. Some people call them Hoovers.
This mask. Also, the gravity here in this basement area is pretty normal, which is weird because everywhere else it's not normal. I don't know. Now, there is actually a final floor, and it's not really a floor, it's more of an outdoor area, and this is the 4th zone. It's accessed from randomly appearing exits throughout the level, and it takes the appearance of a small outdoor mall type place with coffee carts and shops, and it's very eerie and empty, and it just looks like it's fake because it's so perfect. There's been a few reports of facelings walking around out here, which is the first sighting of an entity you might see, besides the dust. This place is actually the least polluted area in the level because there's barely dust in the outside. There is still some. You don't get off the hook that easy, let me tell you, but it's way better than being inside, trust me. Gravity is also normal here, so no jumping around for you. So this whole time, I've been yapping about gravity being different and dust being everywhere, and I'm sure you're wondering why those things even matter. Let me explain. So gravity being different across the different parts of the level is a very strange, unknown, enigmatic thing that we don't understand. It's significantly reduced across this level compared to normal gravity from other levels and real life, and it's been noted that when you jump around and fly through the air, it's less of flying through the air and more of swimming through the air. And people say it's harder to swim through the air here than it is to swim through water. Now this might mean that the strands of reality or the atmosphere here is harder or deeper or thicker than normal reality.
Stomach made a
Who
funny
knows?
noise.
Maybe that's why the dust sticks there too. We don't know. But this gravity and thick atmosphere might give wanderers sickness and shortness of breath and exhaustion and dizziness and that kind of thing. Just pretend the sky above you is like dense and thick. That's what this is. Now as for the dust that's on the surfaces in the level and floating around in the air, this is where the level gets that class 5e difficulty from. The dust particles are strangely thick and they just hang and stay in the air. Like I said, it could be because the air is thicker, or it could be because the dust itself is more of a entity that can do what it wants. But if you do inhale or come into contact...
I mean, like, it's the backrooms. It's just as... Hello! It's just as likely that the friggin' dust is a entity as anything else.
With this dust, this can lead to a host of different problems. Inhaling the dust can lead to internal bleeding, choking, gagging, acid reflux, and combustion of one's stomach and internal organs. Yeah, that's awesome. Yay, woo, woo! And depending on how
definitely
long
not normal
stays
dust
here
then.
and how much dust they inhale, your organs could literally get so infected and your insides could get so infected from this dust that you could literally just turn into dust yourself. But it is for this reason that it's not recommended to come to this level under any circumstance, unless you want to become like a stuffed teddy bear, but with dust. Now, it seems as if the dust spreads inside of people like a bacteria in a way. Each particle splitting and
it's gotta be
multiplying
an
in seconds,
entity.
almost like it's a live virus and not dust. It also seems to be sentient.
Next.
Level 68 of the backrooms is classified as a class 3 difficulty and is very unsafe and very unsecure. But it has a low entity count, but it's not the entities that you should be worrying about. The level itself seems to take the appearance of a massive movie theater that sprawls out for a long while. It's just one massive complex with different parts of that same theater. The entire level doesn't feel like a theater, though. It almost feels organic, like it's alive or like it's an organism that you're walking around inside. There's things like fungus and grass that grow up in the darker hallways, and mushrooms sprout from random areas as well. There are also corridors and hallways and rooms that intersect to this massive theater, and they all lead back to this one large theater room. Now, the room is full of theater-style seating and chairs, all made out of a reddish, dark gray fabric. And at first glance, it seems pretty innocuous, pretty normal, until you examine it closer. You see, these seats seem to be coated in some kind of saliva material, making them a gross and sticky mess. Now, despite them obviously being a soggy, disgusting, nasty chair, they seem to draw people in and lure them to sit down on top of them. Like, even though it looks disgusting, you want to sit down. It's almost this irresistible urge. And when wanderers do sit down, they describe the chairs as being abnormally comfortable. Like, more so than any other chair they've ever sat in, this is the most comfortable, even though you're sitting in a soggy chair. You see, once all the people inside the theater are seated in a chair or they choose to sit down, the chairs themselves seem to release some type of chemical enzyme into the fabric of the chair and the saliva that's coating it. This enzyme has one function and one function only: to rapidly melt the skin of the thing sitting on top of it. Which is, just great as it is, but it doesn't just stop there. The enzyme melts and re-solidifies clothing and skin to the chair fabric itself, virtually fusing the skin of the thing sitting in the chair to the fabric of the seat that it's sitting in, causing whoever's sitting down to melt directly to the chair and be unable to move. Nice. Now, while this is happening, the victim doesn't really seem to notice anything, and they're distracted by something else. There's a ton of theories on what distracts people. Some think it's a pheromone or an enzyme. Some think you're just losing your mind. I don't know. Now, once you're successfully melted directly to the chair, the screen at the front of the theater will start to play a movie. How nice. The films that are played here are random, and they don't seem to correlate at all with anything from real life. There's not been one single movie that's known. Now, it's unknown if the Backrooms itself made these movies, or if somehow they're being played from an alternate reality that's like Earth. We just don't know. But the movies do tend to be really gory and really graphic, and wanderers are just physically stuck in the chair watching this gory graphic movie, unable to move and unable to run away. Hey, did I mention they're melted to the chair? Once the movie that's playing ends and the credits roll, the people who are stuck inside of the chairs start to shake and convulse violently, eventually succumbing to the shaking. Think of the scenes from Stranger Things Season 3 where the victims start shaking and then they turn to that jelly-looking stuff, and you've seen that before. That's kind of what happens here. Anyways, you're no longer there, if you know what I'm saying, after the credits roll of the movie. The chair you were sitting in will then break down the tissue and dissolve it via digestive enzymes. But, you know, it doesn't stop there, because this level just doesn't know how to. Surprise! After the flesh is broken down by the chairs, it will then be sucked into the chairs to never be seen again. Almost as if it's consuming you for lunch, or dinner, or breakfast. It's consuming you. The chairs are eating you, which is not very fun, I gotta say.
I can imagine.
Now, the reason this level is so scary, besides being melted to a chair and digested by
Those
it,
lights
is
look
that
like
from a
googly
quick
eyes.
glance, it seems like a safe theater level. You know, there are several safe theater levels scattered throughout the Backrooms, and many of them play as sort of a home base for wanderers, or a destination for them to get to because they're so safe. So victims of this level might think that they found one of those safer
AI
levels
images, some
when they
of
get
these.
sent here, only to sit down and realize that they've walked into their own grave. Now, survivors of this level are few and far between, since the level can
Makes
somehow
sense.
warp your mind into this false sense of security. It seems that the only way that people make it out alive is they somehow notice what's happening before the chairs release that enzyme to you and consume you. Now, if you can get out of there before then, you'll be okay.
Gross.
Now, I bet you're asking, if I do get out of the chair fast enough, if I do, you know, it's luck, where do you go to exit? You know, how do I escape? I don't know what I'm doing. I was trying to segue this into the exit portion. Let's just go to it. So to enter the level, you have to walk into a theater on level 11, and you seemingly have a random chance to be sent here. Just completely random. You could be on level 11 chilling, and you'll be sent here. Which again, is terrifying, because level 11 is a widely known safe level, and the fact that you could be sent here from a safe level to be digested by a chair is pretty scary. Now, to exit, you have to get up before you get stuck and run to the movie screen at the very front of the theater and then proceed to no-clip into it. Or you could also run into a hallway that's here and find a door that looks like this to be sent to level 74. Either way, you gotta get out. And the only way to notice what's happening before it's too late is if you sit down and you start to feel your arms getting sticky and harder to move, and you'll kind of get uncomfortable. And this happens randomly because, like I said, most people who sit here think it's really comfortable and really relaxing. And this mainly only happens to people that are wearing short sleeve shirts, since their skin is touching the seat directly. So if you're wearing a hoodie or something, you can't feel the fabric of the chair, you're probably going to be consumed by it. Sorry. But if you feel yourself getting stuck to the chair, you got to get up and run to the screen to get out. Or
There's a
you'll never
bunch
be
of
seen
loud
again.
people outside right now. Ugh.
So level 6.1, or the snack rooms, is classified now as a classed unalive zone due to its numerous hazards. But the level is generally still referred to as the snack rooms, even in its devolved state. It used to look like a huge food court area with very liminal features. This ambience of being alone, this feeling of nostalgia, you get exactly what I'm talking about. The food court area spread out for miles and miles, and it was just one continuous hallway full of restaurants and concession stands and vending machines and restrooms and everything like that. There were also other places to get food and water, and it all just felt really safe and really cozy. There were several sitting areas with tables and booths as well, which most of the times were empty, but sometimes sparsely populated. The entire level was so liminal and so relaxing, and it was just a really perfect place to be after escaping level 6, because level 6 is literally one of the worst levels, and a lot of people don't make it out of it. So the snack rooms were a welcomed sight to many a traveler over the years.
Yeah.
That is, until the downfall of the snack rooms. So the level, now known as the Fallen Snack Rooms, or the food court, is a huge, massive food court that looks like it's been abandoned. The once clean and liminal layout has changed to a layout of decay and destruction. The ceiling is collapsed in some areas, the stairs are all broken up, the floor is all disgusting, the shelves and the vending machines have been knocked over, and many things are just scattered throughout it. It looks like something's just gone crazy and trashed the place. It also looks like the level was left in a hurry, because there are still meals and food on display. So now, instead of being safe and nostalgic and liminal, it's horrifying and empty and liminal. The lights that once lit up this place are mostly blown out, and there are puddles of liquid pain scattered throughout the level. The level itself seems to have become...
Oh yeah, liquid pain. That's a fun thing. It's kind of well, it's almost exactly what it sounds like. It is liquefied pain, essentially. I believe I've talked about that before. Yeah.
Corrupted and volatile over the last year. So what actually happened to this level? How did it end up like this?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's been concluded that the snack rooms underwent a spatial tragedy, obviously, and it caused everybody to leave the level quickly, but that does not take a genius to figure out. I'm just stating the obvious. It's important to mention a few things about the level pre-collapse that might make things make more sense. So before all this happened, level 6.1 had a similar effect as level 11 has on its entities and its people. If you don't know, level 11 makes entities docile and not aggressive. Like, it completely calms them down. They're not aggressive, they won't attack you. The snack rooms were similar to this. Entities could walk freely around the level, and they would be completely fine and normal, just like the people were. Until one day, this effect seemingly just stopped working. Out of the blue, it just quit, which of course sent the entities there into an aggressive frenzy. After this event happened, the entities would attack more and more, and they would start chasing people out of the level until the entire place was virtually abandoned, and it caused the people that were still remaining here to hide deep inside of it. There were a few safe spots at first where the lights were left on, and many remaining people were trapped inside and are stranded here, and some say they can still hear the screaming and talking of those trapped people deep inside the snack rooms. Some people also blame this shift in behavior on level 11 itself, and they say that level 11 is what caused these snack rooms to change. Others think it's completely random, but there's even more to the story that many people don't know. But that's what I'm here
What's
for.
that?
So before this shift even happened, and back when the level was 6.1 and it was completely normal, there was one incident of an entity attack. It occurred when a hound entity
Taco salad sandwiches?
By complete
Interesting.
accident. And for some reason, the entity was not docile or calm due to the normal effect that it gives every entity. It was aggressive, and because of this, it started to chase people and attack everyone on sight, which caused panic. This panic became widespread, and people were running around and screaming and stuff, but eventually it was dispatched and gotten rid of by the people there. But ever since that date, something has been off about the level. The balance and the force has shifted, to say. That single hound entity changed everything somehow, and we literally have no clue how it happened. After the hound, more and more aggressive entities started to come to this level. It's almost like they're being drawn to it like a moth to a flame, and then eventually it caused everybody to leave and run out, except those that are trapped deep inside of it. Theories. So earlier I briefly mentioned just a couple theories as to what happened, but now I kind of want to dive deeper into them. So the level 11 effect is not really well understood, and many people just don't trust it, and they don't know how it works. Like, how can one level make normally aggressive entities not aggressive? Like, how does it work? Where's the science? And if we don't understand how it works, we can't be prepared for when it stops working, which is exactly what happened on level 6.1. No one could have
Yeah.
prepared for the effect to stop because they had no idea that it would. That one single hound started a chain of aggression that wiped out an entirely safe level that everyone knew and loved. And like I said, we still just have a couple theories as to why it happened. Was it a change in the level 11 effect itself? Or did whoever controls the backrooms just decide to change it? Or was the level destroyed on purpose for some reason? There are a ton of unanswered questions that we still all have, and now we're just left with this faint memory of what used to be a safe haven level in the backrooms. To enter this level, you can...
It's very weird. Very, very weird.
So level 78, or the psychological planet, is classified as a class PSI, which means it's going to be unsafe and unsecure because of the mental hazards and not really because of the environment. There are several levels that are within this classification that I might go over eventually and then combine them all into a series, but this level is the first one I'm going over. Anyways, let's not get sidetracked. The level is not supposed to be entered under
Very
any
weird
circumstance.
core.
I repeat, don't come here, you idiot. And that's just what the first sentence says. I guess you should listen to it. But personally, I think I'm going to go by myself. The level has been described as a strange and otherworldly grassy planet that is suspended in the middle of an endless blue sky. So think of level 94 as grassy hills, except it's not infinite here and there's not houses like that. The level does have very rare suburban style housing though, and the entire place just stretches out for a few miles until it drops off into the infinite blue expanse of the sky. On rare occasions, mushroom-like entities have been reported dotted over the grassy landscape. They might be real, they might not. I'll get into all that later. The thing about this level is that no one has reached the actual end of the grassy plain. People get sidetracked due to the mental effects that it puts you under, and it's really hard to because your surroundings will start to warp. Again, I'll get into that later. So for right now, I'm going to go over the things that people have for sure seen, and then I'll get into some theories and some other things towards the outer edge of the level. Wanderers, who find themselves inside of the level will spawn outside in the middle of the field, surrounded by itchy, cool grass for as far as they can see. The only noticeable feature around you is in the sky, directly up, and it is this off-putting, smiling orb sun type thing. The immediate surroundings of this spawn area feel a lot like those old Windows wallpapers from those really old computers. That's the first thing you really notice is how it looks like that, and the sun thing in the sky above you. This piercing, smiling sun never stops staring. It never blinks, it's always there, and it generally can terrify you if you let it. In fact, some wanderers just get terrified so much that it fills them with this huge sense of horror, they try to run away. I mean, it's pretty ugly.
Right,
but
makes sense.
Smiling. Whatever you do not run away from it, no matter how creeped out you get. If you choose to walk straight and explore the level, then about 6 kilometers or like 3.7 miles into it, these strange artificial suburban houses will begin to pop up and appear in front of you. They look lifeless and fake. Like they're not even in the grass, they're kind of just, they look badly photoshopped there. Around this time, the sun and the sky will begin to randomly clip and appear in different parts of the sky. Even when it disappears, the level stays bright, which means that that's not where the light comes from, even though there's no sun. Anyways, these weird core liminal looking houses are very interesting, and I'm going to dive into that right now. So if you enter them, they'll be completely empty of furniture and decorations, except for a few photos and pieces of debris on the floor. The photos here all are infected with photoocular syneresis, which is just the fancy term for the floaters or static vision you can get in real life.
Oh, that.
These pictures all have that effect when you look at them. When you do look at the pictures and when you're inside the house in real life, random things will begin to pop into your field of view and float around. Now, if you take the photos off of the level with you, this effect will still be with them. This can happen on any level if you look at the pictures. It'll normally manifest itself as bizarre lines of text popping up, or sometimes eyes will pop up, and sometimes eyes with wings, and sometimes other weird mushroom type things will appear. It just depends on where you're at. It doesn't end there though, because looking at the eyes and the text in your photo for longer than a few seconds seem to manifest those lines of text and eyes in real life in front of you. Like the blurry text and the uncanny eyes will spawn right in front of you, and they'll all be like staring at you and surrounding you. And a scary thing about the images that you take here is that the effect will continue to work until you leave. And even when you do leave, the effect will still be within the image. For that reason, these pictures are often used as a weapon to fend off entities or people, because it would be kind of terrifying to see some guy with a bunch of eyes surrounding him. So you could use it to your benefit, or you could just not. Anyways, this effect is the most dangerous part of the level, because after a certain time of being here, you'll start to lose the line between what's in the picture and what's in reality, spiraling into this weird core madness of not knowing what's floating in front of you. So about 6 miles or 12 kilometers into the level is where it ends, and it ends up fading into the blue sky. At this point, it's theorized that the ground itself will begin to warp and wave and undulate like it's water. Like every step you take will make massive waves in the grass, causing it to be impossible to keep going, and for this reason, people have never been able to get to the actual edge very easily or at all.
Weird.
This waving effect will be extremely disorienting and frightening to people experiencing it, especially if you just took some pictures earlier and went inside the houses and you saw all the eyes and stuff, and now you come outside and you see all the ground waving like water. You'd probably think you're tripping hard on something. But in this wavy grass part, the eyes and the sun will congregate and stare at you as well. And this is your last chance to escape with even just a drop of your sanity left. Just try to avoid the sun and the eyes staring at you. But now I'm going to do a little bit of a deeper dive into the weird creatures and entities that live here, even the ones that we aren't sure are real, but people claim to see them. So the Smile Sun is obviously the first. This is the biggest entity on the level, and like I said earlier, it takes the appearance of a large green sun with a very, very off-putting red smile on its front. The entity does not outright attack you, but after a prolonged exposure, it seems to cause your field of view and vision to get more staticky and unstable, and it makes your eyesight worse, eventually just becoming a grainy mess. So it's recommended to not stare at the sun at all. Shrooms. So shrooms are sentient beings that sprout out of the grass and inside of the houses on this level. It's said that staring at the shrooms for long enough will cause them to develop eyes. Once you make eye contact with the eyes, you'll begin to feel the effects of being on shrooms. Like the hallucinogenic, you'll start feeling like that. You'll get dizzy, you'll be confused, you'll not know where you are, your vision will become impaired, and things will start to pop up again. Now, shrooms tend to grow around people on this level who are full of fear, and they kind of seem to be reactive of how your behavior is. So if you're scared, the level knows it. The Smile Killer. So this is a very rare creature that exists here. It's been reported as a tall humanoid figure that's almost 7 feet tall, and it carries a big knife with it as a weapon. It seems to have the ability to hypnotize those who look at it in its face, kind of like the sun in the sky does, but not really. The entity only appears in the houses on this level, and it can only be seen briefly when the sun in the sky disappears. So when the sun comes back, it'll be gone, but when the sun clips out and goes away, you can see it. And because of this, you never really know where it's at. It could be right behind you, and then the sun will just go away, and it'll show up, and it can slash you. Really creepy stuff, to be honest. Finally, the eyes. So the eyes are a very common thing on the level, as you've heard. They're in the houses, they're outside, they're on the sun, they're on the mushrooms, they're everywhere. And they are realistic human or animalistic eyes that just pop into your field of view on the level. Some of them are biological, some of them might be in your head, but they solely seem to attack the mental state of those who see them, which is bad because everyone in the backrooms already has a bad mental state. This would make it worse. Some eyes have been reported to have these angel wings around them, and it doesn't look 2D or anything. It looks like a real eye with a real angel wing. It's physically there. The only way to get them to disappear is if you close your eyes, but then again, you can't really go anywhere with your eyes closed all the time, so you're just gonna have to kind of avoid eye contact in order to escape the level. These eyes are a common thing you see in
avoid eye
pictures
contact
from real life, and it's unknown how or why they appear here in the photos, or in your field of view, or in the sky above you. It's all just a mishmash. We don't know. To enter this level, you have to fall asleep on any backrooms level and then participate in a lucid dream. That's right, you access this level by lucid dreaming. That's the only way to enter. So if you can't lucid dream, you should be good and you'll never get stuck here. But the problem with that is you're still technically in the level because you can get trapped in it forever.
I have had lucid dreams before. I have. They're a little rare. For me. Mostly because I can't, I can't do anything to make them happen to me. But the few times they have happened to me has been interesting.
If I were you. The intoxicated pools. This level is classified as a Class 3 survival difficulty and is generally unsafe and unsecure due to a hazardous environment. The level itself is a huge expanse of rooms and hallways that
Why is the
resemble
water
the pool
purple?
rooms slightly. There's white tiles here and strange staircases, but the obvious difference is the color of the water. Some of the floors under the water are not tile here as well, and they're actually a shaggy carpet, which is an effect similar to level 7's carpet floor at the bottom of the ocean.
Carpet,
The size of the sublevel isn't fully known yet, but it's definitely large. Well over 1,000 rooms, because people have been exploring and people have gotten lost, and we just have to assume that it's huge. The lighting on this level comes from the widened out windows, just like the regular pool rooms, so that's one thing that they share. The temperature of the water here is pretty much impossible to actually measure, because depending on how close the water is to the windows, the temperature can be vastly different. For example, the closer to the window the water is, the hotter it'll be.
Gee, it's almost like temperature is relative to temperature things. Like, yeah, water closer to windows is going to be hotter.
So hot,
cheese and rice.
You can't even touch it. And the further away, the more freezing cold it'll be. Now, the water in this level is not actually regular water or almond water, and that's why I did air quotes that you couldn't see, because this is actually thicker and slimier than both of those. It also can't freeze or boil, despite some of it being blisteringly cold and blisteringly hot. The water itself is also a dark lilac color, and it's been described as a purple goo. It's almost like liquidy jello in consistency. The feeling of this goo is very uncomfortable, and it's just not very good to touch, and many wanderers have reported getting goosebumps and just feeling very uneasy while being inside of it.
I mean, it's beautiful, but
the water is also full of several types of pathogens that carry all sorts of disease and sickness to those who touch it, especially those who fall in or accidentally dunk their head underwater. Because if you do that, the pathogens will go in your nose or ears and get to your brain and respiratory system, causing you...
What was that noise?
You have a hard time breathing and other illnesses
Very
as well.
weird.
In some areas, there are also pieces of fungus and moss that are floating on the surface of this jello water. And it's thought that this fungus and then the pathogens are connected together somehow, and that the purple color of the water has something else to do with it as well. Some have also reported strange psychological effects, like wanting to jump into the water, or feeling really dizzy or obsessed with staying inside of the purple water here. People who do that stuff typically aren't seen again, so don't do that stuff. Many times people begin to feel obsessed and venture deeper into the sublevel, wanting to get into the water, and once they do, no one ever sees them again. To enter this level, you can no-clip on level 58 to have a chance, or you can cause an accident, whatever that means, on level 96 to be seen.
I feel like if you wore like a wader suit or like a waterproof suit, like the ones they do for mucking about in swamps or whatever, that you'd be okay, maybe?
Here as well. And to exit,
like, it seems like the main issue is touching the water.
Is thought to take you directly to the void level. So no clipping here. Which, of course, if you don't know what the void is, it's pretty much a death sentence. It'll keep you trapped in an infinite.
The noise was you farted?
So
how did I hear that then?
Is you need to find a dark, small, and empty hallway and walk through it until you get to the next level.
The noise I heard earlier was like a beep 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 noise.
So unless
I highly doubt that was anything like that.
Purple goo forever, and perhaps being absorbed by this purple goo. I mean, it does do weird things to people, so I don't know.
I wonder if you bottled some of that and splashed it on someone's face, what would happen?
This video is level 37.1, or as it's more commonly known, the deep end. So this sublevel is also classified as a class 3 difficulty, just like the last one, and is unsafe and unsecure due to its environment. Its physical description is very, very similar to the regular pool rooms, with the randomly segmented halls and rooms that are full of water. But the main difference in this
It was a
sublevel,
loud
if you couldn't
fart?
find the name,
Really?
is the sheer
That's a
depths
very
of the
loud fart
water here
then.
and what might lurk
Could hear
inside
it
of
from
You
miles
see,
away.
normal pool rooms
You might
hallways
want to
can
call the
be
doctor on that
decently
one,
deep,
bud.
like 10 feet or so, but most of them are just waist deep. These hallways in the deep end can be well over 40 meters deep. To the point where
40
you can't even
meters
see the
deep.
bottom of
Good
it.
golly.
It's just a dark abyss under you. And this makes navigating the level really hard since you have to tread water and you can't just walk. You have to just swim through this
Yeek.
darkness to get anywhere. Another thing that makes this sublevel
Nope.
difficult
Nope, 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 absolutely nope. Water I can't see the bottom of is a big no.
is the lack of light. The corridors and hallways here are just pitch black for the most part.
I
and
have
can
no
only be
fear
lit
of
up
water.
by
Water is
artificial
fine,
sources,
as long
like
as I can see
flashlights
the
and
bottom.
phones and whatever else.
If I can't
Now,
see
there
the
are some
bottom,
rare
fuck
cases where the
that
walls
shit.
themselves have this
There could be
weird, dingy
monsters.
glow, but that doesn't matter
For
much,
all
to be
I know,
honest.
there
The
are
connections from
monsters.
room to
I'm not going in monster water. That's stupid. I'm not stupid. I'm only a
room in
little
the deep
stupid.
end are also extremely hard to use because most of them are underwater.
I'm
only are
not
they
that kind of
underwater, though,
stupid.
they're very claustrophobic.
My
It's a very tight
stupid is
window
a
to get to
different
the next part.
stupid.
So you can't just walk through from hall to hall to get to the next room. You have to swim in the pitch black in freezing cold water with no light to get to
Nope,
the next area.
nope,
The level is
absolutely
also
not.
well
No.
maintained and clean like the pool rooms is. The regular pool rooms keeps this shiny surface and really sunny, vibrant vibe, and there's no dirt that ever shows. But the tiles and everything here on this level are gross. The water is darker and murky, almost green in some areas, and the air is musty and stale. And it's just a very cold,
No.
unpleasant place to find yourself stuck in. The structure and layout of the level can also change very fast while you're exploring, sometimes resulting in very confusing and twisted structures and weird hallways that never end. This is due to
Friggin'
non-Euclidean
non-Euclidean
which is just the
geometry
icing on the
ass
cake for this
fucking
amazingly dangerous level. I mean, I guess it wasn't dangerous
shit.
enough that it's dark and you can't see anything and you're stuck in water. I guess they just had to make it, non-Euclidean as well. Thanks, Backrooms. As far as
Yep.
entities go, there aren't really any that permanently live here. There's only been a few facelings that have been seen wading through deeper waters far into the level, which is actually pretty scary. And it's actually unknown how they got there, but whatever. There's also been some instances of the hydrolytus plague virus, which of course is a very
Ugh.
dangerous virus that lurks in water in the Backrooms, so be careful if you have to swim here. And there's also been uncorroborated reports of seeing glitchtons in this sublevel. Now, glitchtons might be a real entity, they might not be, we don't know. They're kind of like this silent skeleton type entity that's been known to lurk deep in the waters here. Who knows? But overall, this
knows?
level will really mess with your mind. From the freezing water temperatures to the non-Euclidean layout to the small claustrophobic and pitch black hallways to the nasty
Nope,
smell.
nope,
It
nope,
just
nope.
feels like an old,
Absolutely
forgotten part of the
not.
pool rooms that no one was supposed to see.
You could not catch my ass in somewhere like this.
Except thousands of you all just did. You're welcome. To enter the level, you have to wander too deep into the pool rooms, and you'll find yourself stuck here with no way to return. And to exit, you gotta get lucky, to be honest. One of the ways is to randomly find a water slide in the wall, jump in that water slide, and it'll take you to another sub-level, which is level 37.4. It's safer, it's still not safe, but it's safer. Or you can just try to no-clip, but that might not work. It's really hard to exit from the deep end, I gotta say.
So dumb.
So, level 627 of the Backrooms is classified as... Wait, there's no classification graphic. What do I do now? Guess the video wins here. Let me just make one up real quick. It's classified as a class Faded and is moderately difficult due to its environment, and another thing that I'll talk about later. The level takes the appearance of a very small, indestructible room that's made out of porcelain tiles. Think of the tiles
Very
in
cool.
the pool rooms. These are kind of like that. The level is widely known for its dark and strange and depressive energy and vibe that it gives off to people who are stuck here. That feeling seems to come from inside of the walls and in the dark areas of this level, which is not cool at all. The level's actual tiles are just slightly larger than the pool room's tiles, and they have more of a bluish hue to them, which means that this level is not a sub-level of the pool rooms. Now, other than the tiles, there's also a few sinks and stalls that have been seen, but that's not the main thing. Inside this level, there is an old 80s style plasma television, but as you can tell, it's no normal TV. No chance. This one is leaking a vibrant, iridescent, static-like substance. It's melting pretty much.
Cool.
Where its screen used to be is now this flow of static. But I'll talk more on that later. You're gonna want to stick around for this crazy. So level 627, like many levels of the Backrooms, has some strange properties. Specifically, 2 of them named separation and copying, which both of them are just exactly how their name sounds. So if you get sent here to this level alone, it seems to produce an exact copy of you that follows you around the entire time you're here. It won't say anything, it'll just stand there and watch you. That's called the copying effect. Now, the separation effect happens if you get sent to the level in a group of people. And if you do get sent in a group, if that happens, then you will be separated from the group, and all of you will be sent to your own different copy of level 627. The lighting inside of this small room is pretty limited, since most of it comes from the leaking TV in front of you, but there's also some dingy light source from the ceiling that...
I'm curious now. The leaking TV, that's very fascinating to me. I would want to get some of it. Just to like have a bottle of static. I don't know why.
Amenities in this level include there being drinking water, which can come out of the faucets on this level. That's right, the drinking water works, but the TV is melting. Classic backroom stuff. But to be honest, that's about the only good thing that's here on this level, because the level itself smells like mold and mildew, and it feels stale and disgusting. Now, there's no gross standing water or anything that would give off the smell. It's just that the entire level seems to just emanate that smell. Just nasty rot. Now for the exact layout of the level. The level tends to be consistent and unchanging, which is nice because a lot of levels in the Backrooms change their layout or design randomly due to non-Euclidean geometry. So this one stays still, which is good for you to map out and good for you to escape. But when you first get into the level, you'll be at the western side, or the western wall, which is just the wall that leads to a hallway that dead ends. Now behind you on the other side of the room is another tiled wall with the mirror and the sink on it where the TV is. Behind that wall is the entrance to a very small crawl space area that's very dark with very bad vibes. The melting TV and the screen and stuff is on the sink wall with the mirror, and the TV is plugged directly into an outlet right next to the mirror. It is impossible to unplug this TV. No matter how hard you yank on that cord, it will not come out. You can't break it in half, you can't cut it. The cord is impenetrable, and the TV can never be turned off. The ceiling in this level is also very short, and anybody over 6'2" has to crouch and kind of hunch over when they walk, which isn't a...
6-foot people problem
for me. Anyways, the dark energy and depressive vibe that I talked about earlier comes from the crawl space area and the walls. Now, it's really concentrated in this crawl space area, and it's more so than any other place in the level. The area down there is just pitch black and lifeless, and it's dark. You cannot see past your own hand, and you just don't know what's beyond that. You can't tell if there's an entity that lurks down there, or if people are just making it up. Whatever it is, these weird energies and these dark feelings are coming out of this area. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Now, the mirror above the sink behind the TV also has a few interesting quirks to it. One of them is if you touch it in any way, it'll disappear instantly and reveal an exit behind it. But not an exit from the level or anything. You're not that lucky. It's just an exit to another exact copy of this level. It's like room inception. The level will just keep going on and on. Each room's mirror behaves the exact same way. If you walk up to it and touch it, it'll disappear and it'll reveal another room just like the previous one right behind it. So
I wonder if you'd be able to get to friends in other parts of the same thing through that?
The rooms are the same, minus the fact that some of the rooms are more full of that liquid static that's coming from the TV than others, or there might be less lighting in different rooms. For example, one of the rooms that you might start in will just have the sink area being filled up by this TV juice, but the other room might have the juice all over the floor and wall. We have no clue how far the rooms expand. It might be infinite, it might not be, we don't know. So now I'm gonna dive a little into what this TV staticky liquid might be. Now, in the Backrooms canon, it's known as HXMI-12, because that's the text on top of the TV, but its real name is unknown. The static's physical form is a luminescent light pinkish bluish liquid with a syrup-like consistency and texture. The liquid smells like burning plastic and ozone, and it has this really staticky and volatile aura around it. It's made out of what seems to be random chemicals, and it crackles and statics when it leaks more out of the TV. It also rapidly changes colors from pink to blue, and this kind of gives it a strobing effect that can make people sick if they watch it. So watch out for that. Now, if you come into contact with the static, it'll instantly cause a harsh burning sensation to occur.
Makes sense.
Almost like you just touched lava or something. Even though it's not hot at all to the touch,
Right.
it's actually pretty cool. It feels like you're being burned. The burning sensation is not the worst part though, and in fact, it's just the beginning. So if you touch the liquid from this TV, after an unknown period of time, the liquid on your skin will begin to spread and consume and envelop you completely until you become one with the static liquid and are just a static human like melting into the floor. This liquid leaks more and more from the TV the longer that you're stuck in the level, so the longer you stay, the more likely you are to get the static to touch you. It's kind of like floor is lava. So because of this, you'll need to escape as fast as possible unless you want to turn into a liquid static human monster thing. Now, remember what I said that some of the rooms are coated with more of this liquid static? Yeah, those are the rooms you're going to want to avoid because even touching a wall in that room that's covered in it with just a slight drop will have the same effect. You'll eventually be consumed. And the only way to counteract this melting static is by living level, which I'm going to tell you how to do that right now. Wow.
Yeah.
Level 898 of the backrooms is classified as a class variable, and it's due to its safety and entity count and overall just layout being very diverse and very unpredictable at all times.
Makes sense.
The entire level will get more dangerous the longer you stay in it. The level is an incredibly mysterious and unique place, and it takes the appearance of a school. The school is very empty, and it's almost like it's been abandoned or forgotten over the years. You just get that weird
it's in a school.
Like nothing's been
Great, as if the backrooms weren't already bad enough. You gotta go to a school.
There might be. More on that later, though. The level mainly consists of the school's hallways and classrooms, and the hallways themselves are lined up with lockers on both or one side, depending on where you are. The lockers have a layer of dust, and the entire level has this eerie stillness that cuts through the air. You feel like you have to whisper and not make any noises while walking through it, or something's gonna hear you. The only other things besides the hallways here are the classrooms, like I said, and then some few random staircases that'll pop in and out. These staircases lead to unknown places for the most part.
Because non-Euclidean geometry and fucking non-Euclidean.
They smell of mold and rot. And you probably just shouldn't go up or down them unless you have to.
Construction.
So when a wanderer enters these hallways, they'll actually start on a staircase itself, and it has multiple doors to the sides of it. The only problem is that these doors will not open, and they only go the one way, which is straight ahead of you, and that leads to a hallway. The main hallway. Now the walls of the level are painted in this crunchy popcorn texture, and the ceiling is a tiled drop ceiling.
So yeah, very much like a real
most
school.
Real-life schools are, at least in the USA.
The only other possible things you can have for school paint and stuff, I think, are like latex paint, which always gives schools this weird, like, artificial smell. That's the best I could describe it as.
Sometimes have supplies
makes it
in
smell
them,
rubbery.
Like almond water or food or notebooks or anything like that. And these same supplies can also be found inside of the classrooms in the level as well. There are also whiteboards and a couple of computers and all that kind of stuff in the classrooms as well. And even sometimes you might find a faceline in there studying. But just like the hallways, these rooms tend to have an eerie and empty vibe, and they're so quiet that every noise you make sounds like you're banging on a drum. There are also windows in these classrooms that can open up to the outside of the school. I say outside with air quotes, of course, because you can't actually know what's out there. It seems to be a grass field on all sides, but video recording devices and cameras do not seem to work when trying to photograph or record the outside. Really don't know what's beyond the field.
Yeah.
Now, so far, I bet you're thinking that the level sounds really chill, just like a, old abandoned school. How could it be dangerous? Unless you just hate schools. But now I'm going to get into the dangerous part of the level. You're going to want to buckle up because this is where it gets really weird. So when you walk to the end of one of the hallways, specifically the
Right.
hallway that you start on, a nearly exact copy of that hallway will appear on your left. And on your right, there will be a stairwell which will go up or down to yet another hallway. So the hallway to your left goes off in a
Right.
different direction, and it does not loop back to the first hallway that you just came from. So it's not just like this big loop or circle or anything. It is different halls each time you get to the end of that hall. The copy will almost be the exact same, but it'll just slightly be different than before. Each difference is barely noticeable, and it could be as small as like there being one less locker, or a light being out in the ceiling, or a pencil being in the floor, something like that. Anyways, these repeating
Right.
hallways are very confusing and will cause wanderers' sanity to slowly break down as they try to remember which way they went and which way they're going, and
Right.
if they're going in circles or not. And each time you go down a hallway or a staircase, your mental health and your sanity will get worse and worse and worse, and that's when the level's stages begin. So each new hallway is actually referred to as a loop, even though it's not a loop, and these loops
Right.
can mess you up pretty bad. Stage 1, or the early stage of the level's loop, starts with random pencils appearing on the floor, and binders and paper as well. Now this doesn't seem too weird at first.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in a school, there's gonna be paper and stuff.
Those
But
are things
stage
you'd expect
2's
in a
loops
school.
is when you get to the end of that hallway and go on to another hallway, the second copy. This is when clothing and trash cans will start to appear inside of these hallways, and it'll become more muddled and jumbled up with junk. The level will
Okay, the trash cans I can understand.
then
The
begin
clothes,
to decay
not so much.
more and more, and the smell of mold and rot will get stronger and stronger. And you'll start to hear these really strange shuffling noises coming from over your shoulder. Like something's there, but when you turn around, there's nothing behind you. The later stages of the loops here will see the lights
I'm gonna have to
flickering, and the
inspect my
floor
eye
being
when I'm
ripped,
done
and
with
there
this.
being soggy holes in the ceiling, and the ceiling itself will start to collapse, and the entities on this level will begin to run around and run right past you and attack you. At this point,
Yep.
you'll feel mentally exhausted, and physically as well, from walking for so long, and the entities can make easy work of you if you're not careful. So yeah, it's right here at this point when the level starts to be more decayed and rotten, the entities themselves will be the same. More dangerous, more
Gross.
decayed, more rotten. When all these entities start coming out, you'll feel like you just need to hide inside of a locker or a classroom. I mean, it seems like a good idea, right? You get in there, you shut the door, nothing can get you. Wrong. In these later stages of the looping
Ew.
walls and the distortion, an infestation event will occur, and entities that are rare and unusual will start to appear. I'm not talking about your normal skin stealers or hounds or smilers. They'll be there, but I'm talking about the real dangerous ones that lurk in the depths. Like entity Ariana Membris, or this giant spider thing, lives here as well. And let me tell you, they're dangerous. They're
Great.
large, 7 to 8 foot
Awesome.
tall,
Cool.
arachnid-type
Love it.
entities that are extremely fast and agile. They seem to live in the ceilings above you, and when this infestation event starts, they drop down and will sprint up and down the hallways and staircases even, looking for food. If you try to hide from them, they'll smell you out, and they'll eventually get you, and there's no point trying to run away.
They'll get
because
ya.
They're faster. If you jump inside of a locker and hide, you're risking jumping right into a smiler den. Since it's pitch black inside the lockers, and the smilers live in pitch black, you can guess how
Yep.
that's going to end for you. So to avoid this infestation and to does.
We're not gonna get into entrances and
So
exits
level
with these.
899 of the backrooms is classified as a class undetermined, since its safety and stability is crumbling. According to the little graphic here, it's crumbling, which just sounds like a ton of fun to me. The level apparently also has inconsistent time fluctuation as well, and it's just highly unadvised to enter level 899. Now, since it's a rather
So it's
recent
very
discovery,
unstable,
we
like
really don't know much
incredibly, like
about it to ensure its
physically and
safety,
temporally
so take my
unstable.
word for it.
Because why
Let
not?
me do the explaining. Don't go there. The level itself takes the appearance of a long, interconnected subway car system inside of an infinite underground tunnel. The entire
Right.
level, inside the subway and out, is dark, except there are a few
Cool.
random light panels that can be seen. The level is also fully monochrome and has no color to it, which is very disorienting to people who get stuck here because everything is just dark and you can't really see. It's all grayscale. But the level doesn't just stop with everything there being grayscale. In fact, if you bring anything onto the level itself, that thing will also become grayscale, including clothes and food and anything else. Food you bring here will eventually fade into gray and become lifeless and tasteless and lose its color. And any color on your clothes will also do the same. But as I said, it doesn't just stop at items, it can affect living things as well, like you or entities. Because the longer you stay on this level, walking through these subway carts or walking through the tunnel, the more your skin color will fade away until you ultimately become a gray-colored humanoid thing. This effect will stay with you when you leave the level as well, and as I'm making this video, there is no cure to stop your skin from turning gray. Cool. The length of these subway cars is assumed to be infinite, but that's mainly because no one is found.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Great stuff. Really great stuff. I think the end lesson we have here, kids, is don't go to the back rooms. It fucking sucks. It really sucks, nards. I think that's the message we've got there. Anyways, I will catch all of you guys on Tuesday. Till Tuesday. Stay out of traffic. Stay out of car engine compartments. Stay hydrated and stay awesome, possums. Love you all.